people you've seen come in at different levels.
Yeah.
Has that influenced the way you?
It has
approach?
a lot. I mean, I think someone who plays a particular genre that might not be something I connect to, but then I could tell if they're really good or not, you know? And I'm
Right.
like, this is not my thing, but wow, these guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they're really, their presence and their musicianship and whatever it is about it. I do find a lot of people who do that. I find a lot of people who are really, I don't know, I learn something new every time, whether it's the songs, whether it's their crowd banter and connectivity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's comfortable. I'm comfortable with what they just did. That's pretty cool. I think it's all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Just seeing all the successes and failures of like how you do a room. Like I've looked back on. I think about music a lot. I do a little now, but like I had the chance to be in other people's bands and not be the front man.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I was like I had so much I felt like I wanted to say, like I had a giant ego.
Sure.
And now looking back, I'm like, being in a band where other people are, and like you can learn so much from being next to seeing how other people are a great front person or not.
Absolutely.
And if I had it to do over again, like try to like tell your kids things you've learned, and of course they won't listen.
Yeah, they
It's
won't
like,
listen.
Don't make it about you. Just get next to it, get in it, and then like later, if you want to put out your own thing, you'll have absorbed a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, that's how I started, actually. I was living in Los Angeles before I moved here, and in New York before that, where I grew up. And I played in projects, but I was also a songwriter. So I was always a songwriter, but I never felt like I had the voice to say what I wanted to say. So I'd wind up in these projects where if it was a project I was songwriting for, someone else was singing it. That could only last so long. People want to sing their own stuff.
Yeah.
So eventually.
It's like writing jokes for some other.
Yeah, totally, right?
For Roseanne. Should be me out there.
Yeah, it should be you, not Roseanne. Why Roseanne? Are you writing for her?
I just heard Norm Macdonald wrote for Roseanne, so that was a super random.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of random tangents will happen too, but
that's
we
pretty
just
wild.
embrace all the messiness.
Yeah.
But yes.
So eventually I was playing guitar and playing bass, and in projects that weren't that somebody else was the main songwriter. So I was learning a lot from those guys, and just being on the gigging circuit down in Southern California. So I learned so much on that scene, not being up front. But like you, I felt like, well, eventually I feel like I need to sing these myself.
Right.
I started hitting open mics and just starting from scratch, and it was a painful process to really learn how to do it, and scary and humiliating and all the things. But eventually I got really comfortable with it, and then I got really comfortable with saying what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of like mistrust people who are just like comfortable their first time doing all that. They're just like, of course everyone's gonna. I think like the being like embarrassed and nervous for a long time and then figuring it out. To me, that's just a more interesting path.
Yeah.
Probably because it was my path, so I didn't need the validation of. Like, so
well,
to me,
we're in it together. That was our path. Oh man, like even my wife and I've been together a long time, and like we met when I was starting to do that process of, getting out there myself, and even now she'd be like, oh, painful.
Like I say it's painful.
Yeah.
I don't need.
Yeah. So look how far you've come. But then there's to look how far you've come. So I was like, I have evolved. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I read on your site that you, were from the Bronx originally.
Yeah.
So you did like New York and then
Yeah. So I was born in the Bronx, and then I was raised in New York, and then we moved to Rockland, just outside the Bronx, basically. And then I went to school in Long Island for 2 years, for my first 2 years of college.
What'd you study?
Music production.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to USC in Los Angeles. So from there, I studied music production, and then went back to New York after that, and lived there for a while. Back home in the city in Manhattan, and then some things brought me back to Los Angeles. So I actually took a tour. A couple of musicians, we toured over a month across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wound back on the West Coast, and I was like, I'm staying.
Yeah.
So I stayed, and then my life just rebuilt from there, a whole new Los Angeles life for me, and met my wife and all that good stuff. So, and did all those gigs I was telling you about just before, and it was a real growing process, and it was really good for me.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that I did a show recently where it was like a comic from New York and a comic from LA and then Asheville. And it was like,
oh yeah,
and I went third, where else they were from.
Yeah.
Like,
And
representing all the major cultural cities.
Totally.
All three are
all three
going
of
to
them.
be here.
Yeah. Oh
Who's
my gosh.
to say
that's
which
hilarious.
is more known for? Everybody's like, where's that? Nashville? Asheville.
No.
Asheville.
Well, I did the same thing before I even moved here.
Yeah.
We had friends move here. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Did you say Nashville?
Yeah.
No, North Carolina, Asheville. I'm like, where the? I don't know if I can curse on this. Where the hell
yeah,
is that?
you can.
Where the fuck is that?
Blow it up. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. Like, I drove back from Tennessee with my kids yesterday, and I put on a podcast that I just recorded with a friend, and I was like, yeah, I definitely drop a lot more F-bombs than I need to. So, just as a person, I'm trying to do less, but you should feel free to.
Oh, thank you.
It's always me that does them the most. I think that's the part that is most disheartening. Is I'll be playing it, and I don't know, like you, do you have kids?
I have one kid.
Just one. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how you feel about cursing or like, you know.
She's not. No, I curb the cursing in front of her. And
Yeah.
then when we do slip out, she calls us out on it.
Yeah.
She's like, whoa, no.
Yeah. It's kind of like comedy or anything. I'm like, why not have everything I do be as broadly accessible as possible? Like sometimes you need to say that word for the joke or for the point
you have to.
Of the emotion. But in general, it's like, you know, maybe somebody's grandparents might watch this someday,
right?
Or your kids, and it's like it's kind of better to err on cleanliness, you know.
Sure, I think I learned that too. As you know, anytime as a artist, you're doing interviews or anything like that, you're like, well, exactly what you're saying. I don't know who this is really going out to necessarily.
Not that many people. Yeah. It's a very low. I mean, I guess there is the potential that later on they could get blown up, but there's just so much content, so it's kind of like it's pretty low stakes.
It's all good. This is all about hanging out.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's an excuse to talk to interesting people. Where I'm like I looked out at you in the middle of that gig, and I'm like, should I give these people shit or should I just? And I looked at it, I was like, I should talk to Jeff. You know, like I know that.
Yeah.
And the rest, you know, it's like. I don't really know much else. Like I think that I'm trying to be a good talker now and have ideas, and like a good long conversation is just like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
But without a podcast, you go, well, you come over at exactly 1 p.m. and we'll sit and talk.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
And people are like, yeah, it's like that. What? I have a podcast. They're like, oh, cool, I'll be there.
I'll do that.
All right, well,
it's working.
Yeah, it is.
We're in the den.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the lights go dark.
Yeah, I know. I do, yeah. I mean, I've known you for a while, but there are some people, I'll have like some, nice lady. I'm like, it's in my shed. It's going to be fine. Yeah.
She's sitting there. Is that locked? Is there a way out of here?
I know. You know Sandlin, who takes all the pictures?
Yeah, I'm actually going to see him next week. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because he is the other person I know that kind of has that. He's like, you're coming over, you're going to come into my basement.
Right.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah. He's going to give me the same speech next week. It's a week from today, actually. I'll be hanging out with him.
Just
That's funny.
Let people know where you are before you go into Sandlin's basement.
Know. Ping.
It's pretty creepy down there.
Can my phone ping in here? Or do you have that blocked off?
No, it's blocked off. Yeah, this is like, get some dungeon blockage going on.
Oh, man. Man.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so it's not really like it dabbles in interview, but it's more just like a conversation. It's more like
I've seen a couple.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So
you know what you got.
I was one of those couple people watching. I still came over.
Didn't watch it and go like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Cheapest thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, I was like, I'll go talk to you. It's been a minute. It gives us a chance to catch up. Because it'd be really weird if I invited you over and said, hey, come here at this particular time. And
I'd be there. Like, you got a podcast, right?
Yeah.
As long as you have a podcast.
Only if podcast is in tow. Yes.
Well, this shed is kind of a new space where it's like I'm obsessed with drumming now. It's like all I want to do.
It's amazing.
And I still play other stuff, but like drumming has really got me playing with people again.
Nice.
So, and I've gotten into jamming a lot just recently. Like I was always like songs, and now I'm kind of like, well, there's this other thing I didn't explore, and to me, this is like we're kind of doing more of a jam. You know, like when I started the podcast, I had questions. It was more like a song. I'm going to ask about the Bronx, but now I'm like. My favorite parts were kind of when we just like
veer off.
Yeah.
Natural exploratory conversation. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, for sure. That could be a lot of fun. So I am stoked to see how much comedy you've been doing. And
appreciate it.
That was, and when you were talking about that room that night, that was a rough
that was rough
gig, but you did great because it was It was hard in there, and you kind of found them to this place. You brought them into this place that was like, okay, I think we're all good now.
I was like, I think I got to fuck with them. I saw the person before me try to do material, and I was like,
yep.
And then later I talked to somebody, and they were like, oh, it was the sales team? He's like a booking guy. He's like, whenever I put a guy up in front of the sales team, you go with the most aggressive comedian, because like salespeople are just inherently,
right.
Even friendly for them is like they're going to get, and they're drinking, and it's
Yeah.
their thing. So it was definitely like, got to kind of mess with these people, but then they asked me to come in and just do nice jokes, and now it's like, well, I think I'm gonna have to try to destroy them a little, or they're gonna destroy me. And then afterwards, somebody's like, "That was great." I'm like, "Okay." I thought maybe.
Yeah, they were getting a little rowdy in there.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
I was so glad you were there. I was like, there's just something very anchoring. I look over them at you, and
you're like, I have a friend, an ally.
Yeah. If this gets really bad, I think Jeff could like open a secret door, and I could maybe escape
I got you.
or something.
I got you. They start throwing stuff. I'm like, no, you can't throw stuff in here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's the part of music that I feared the most. So now I'm with comedy. It's like I'm trying to like just do that, like where they start to try to destroy you a little bit.
Right. Well, so let me ask you a question. I mean, it's like, to me, that's frightening as hell. I don't mind going to play a show and sing in front of people. I don't care how many people it is, but that is just like, that's just like really intimate somehow, and really vulnerable, and really all the things that, do you still want to do it? And really just, and it's just, I don't know. That scares the hell out of me. And to see you doing it, I was like, no way, this is good. And to do it well. So I'm telling you, you're doing it well.
Thank you.
And and just to really be able to engage with that audience. So do you ever have all your jokes prepared, or do you do a thing where I have a template and I'm gonna riff a little in there?
Yeah,
too?
trying
Jam,
to always trying to go more that way. Like in the early years, it was very much like I memorized it, and I'm terrified. Then somebody drops a drink, and you're like, oh, yeah. And I see newer comics do that now too, and the audience goes, aha, you were just pretending to be comfortable and natural.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's a template, and you gotta and then you like see the guy before you, and they're like just being insane, and you're like, just tear up the template, and you're like, all right, let's just see how long I can stay.
Right. Yeah, that's well. It makes more sense to me that you have to go in with that. We're going like, and I have some things in here, and I have an arsenal, but I gotta let it loose and
it's
fly.
like in the old like Roman or whatever days where that like you'd watch a guy fight a lion, and he's definitely not gonna like win all the way, but like there is something compelling about seeing somebody just try to flail around and like survive. So I'm like, I'm gonna give him that kind of show,
right?
and I'll learn something. Like it's not the first time I felt like, and they were like still like well behaved people like in their lives.
Sure.
I've gone some places like farther out where I'm like, I don't even know if these are like good people.
Right. So, what are they willing to do if they don't like my comedy?
How far are they willing to take it? I look like super liberal out here. I should not have worn these glasses. Definitely should not have worn these glasses.
No, not those glasses.
The jeans are way too skinny. This is
not good. Maybe a hat of some sort. No thanks.
When you do shows, do you do that too? I mean, do you tend to have like a template, or do you like if you're gonna I guess they're all different, but I mean, do you go
in terms of the overall show and the vibe of that? Yeah, I have to let it go too, because I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm like, I just forced the hell out of that. That was awkward. Yeah. And it's like, you don't want to do that. There are things for me. I think if anything within a show that I want to say outside of the songs themselves, it's probably going to say the name of our band, remind people who we are, that we have merch, and that's how the band survives, and those things. But I can't script those things. I just have to there's a note on the set list. Just don't forget at some point you got to mention this shit, But outside of that, I just have to let it go, because I don't know what the vibe's going to be. Yeah. And then even my own, whatever's going on in my own head as I step out there. And then after that, you just got to kind of feel what's happening out there. Hopefully it feels good. If it doesn't, then I don't want to talk much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sometimes you just got to be like, I don't even need to try to.
And we've had those shows where like, I had some more things I thought I was going to say, but I don't feel like saying a word to this show, whether it was the crowd or whether it's just the show itself or whatever about it. It was just something wasn't completely open about it. And I was like, let's just play.
Yeah, just play.
Yeah, let's just play. Let's play to each other. At least we have each other.
Yeah, I started to embrace that more like later on in music. I think like when I was in my 20s and I wanted my songs and my ego, like I wanted, like as I got older, I kind of embraced more. Like sometimes I go out in a room and I'm not looking to be like 100% focused on the stage, but it's like it creates a nice ambience. And you do appreciate. You're kind of like leaning more into that when I was old. I'd almost get mad. I'm like, they're not even paying attention, you know?
Right.
And I mean, and that still is, I still get mad about that. I guess with comedy, you can stop and be like, you can address it, which I like.
Yeah.
Whereas with music, I always felt like there's the talking, this guy, and then you go into like songs guy.
Yeah.
And it, like, you have to navigate the.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's the same guy all the time, or do you feel like you have to switch personas?
I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of. I don't think it's a matter of persona. I think there are moments where I'm like, I just want to get lost in the music with my bandmates and what we're doing. Sometimes I want to express that outwardly to the crowd. Sometimes I want to not really. But I've seen shows too where the performers didn't have to do it for me. The fact that they were doing it together and having this thing happen, that was entertaining to me at least, and it was something I appreciated. So, and then stepping up to the mic, I don't know. I think it's still consistent, but I'm not off somewhere else when I'm stepping up to the mic. You know?
Right. So I like that if you just focus on the connection between you and your bandmates.
Oh yeah,
that could maybe bring it to gravity too.
Yeah, because it's your lifelines. You know, you got each other. So if a show feels weird for whatever reason, or a crowd seems weird for whatever reason, and that's why like going up alone as a comic, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I have played a lot.
Yeah, you got those solo gigs that go bad too, right? Or you're like, there ain't nobody that even sees
exactly
my
right,
exactly
exactly right. So I've done a lot of solo gigs myself, and I toured that way as well, and there were those moments where I'm like, I feel so lonely up here.
Oh yeah.
And I feel there's a disconnect happening with the audience for whether that's my fault or their fault or just the type of place it is. I've gotten a lot smarter about like, I can make some money playing that gig, but they're not going to be I'm going to be the entertainment.
Yeah.
And if that's not what I want to be, then I can't do that gig.
Right. That is tricky. It's like, because like sometimes the best paying gigs are the ones where afterwards you go, you know, if I did that gig every week, I think I'd probably just want to quit.
Yeah.
And yet it pays more than like the one that fills my soul is like doesn't not pay.
Exactly right.
But yeah,
it's kind of wild because you can have those gigs. You're like, actually, if I did this gig once a month, or if I did, had a couple a month for this place and that place, and I could make a living out of doing what I love to do, and that's playing my songs and singing to people. But that's not the place.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well,
I've
that's
seen
not
how
gonna
it
happen.
plays out, and I'm seeing it again in comedy with like clean gigs or corporate gigs where they have a budget, they will pay you, but then it's like, let's get the clown out here, and it's like, well, that's not, I'd rather just be broke from comedy and do it the way I want than try to like chase. But I think there's a good blend, doing like,
well, of course there is,
like the show that we were talking about. It was a corporate gig, but it was actually like they seemed to be all right with me getting messy and messing with them back. So it's like, okay, I still feel like I preserved my, I didn't, like, I've done gigs where I felt like a prostitute afterwards. You know? And I'm like,
totally.
I probably shouldn't continue.
Yeah.
You never quite know, but I'm like, I'm not gonna keep doing it that way.
Yeah. Well, there's so many ways to. In terms of a career, to skin it, so you got what are you comfortable with? And some people would love to do those corporate gigs all day long, and they're comfortable with that. And make fat money doing it. Yeah, and good for them. But I'm with you on that too. There needs to be, I'm really here because of this in and of itself. The work. What you want to express and talk about, make fun of, and laugh at. That's the most important thing. And then from there, you can just like, well, how do I want to present that? And I want to present it in gigs that make sense, where people are going to be open to that.
Right. And I think even a horrible gig that's like, this is the worst gig ever. It's like, if you do that, you learn something from that gig. It's like, I'm glad I did it. I'm not going to continue to do that. But like something I tell my kids too, like it's okay to make some huge like miscalculation and then you survive it, you can debrief. It's like, that's good information for you later.
Oh, that's growth.
Because there's like, I think you can go too far with artistic and integrity too.
Sure.
I'll have like younger comics and stuff on here that are like, I never asked to be on a show, I don't send out emails, I'm punk rock, and it's like,
well, you're not going to get shows very often.
It's like, you get older and it's like there is a blend, and you kind of got to see where you're at, but you do got to treat it like a business a little bit.
If you want to make money at
if you want to
at all,
and get booked, I'd say too,
and get booked, you're gonna have to treat it like a business.
Yeah, somewhat. And then there's a point where it's like you treat it too much like a business, and it sucks your soul out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that line is, as you get older, that's like, I love talking to people that are like have kids and are older. Like we've been doing it for a long time, and we're still. Like, how many people from high school that you played music with are still in a band?
Right.
You know?
Not many.
Like,
right.
you're still doing it.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. It's still part of my overall how I make my living, how I live my life, who I know myself to be, my friends know, my family knows me to be.
Yeah.
And I've never wavered from that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've had times where I don't do it as much or it's harder or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah. I love that I see you consistently doing shows and stuff. I'm like, Jeff's still out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But trust me, I go through time frames where I'm just like, what am I doing? This is exhausting.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm not gonna book anything for a month, and then I'm like, oh my God, I got no gigs lined up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm lucky to have a band. I'm lucky to have bandmates that are very talented and cool people that actually want to play these songs. So I can't take that for granted. So,
and you guys can really play too. You can really execute the music. I've kind of always like leaned on sloppiness a little, like as part of the sound. Like I think it's part taste, but it's also part like laziness, like the wrong.
Bit both.
Yeah, you play the wrong note accidentally, but then
like,
you do it a few more times.
Do it again.
Yeah, like I was intentional.
Yeah. I think Victor Wooten says something about that. Play that note again.
Yeah, and then make a face like you meant it both times. And like shit like that works. Those little tricks.
Sure. Fooling you behind the curtain. Oh man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. We love to play and we love to play together. So it's cool. It's in a really good place right now. We put out a record last April.
Is that the CD you brought me?
Yes, the CD I brought you today. Yeah. So we put that out, and then we're working on some new stuff now. And we have, we've been gigging out of town more, which is nice. Yeah. It's been receptive. We're getting nice gigs out of town, too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Should be some justice in the world.
Yeah.
These endless waves of kids making the art. I mean, it's amazing to me that. Did you say that you did like music production in school?
Yeah.
Like, so did you?
I was working in the studio.
Do you have an interest in like the engineering and the recording of stuff, or is that kind of just something you dabbled in and you prefer to create the art and?
I prefer to create the art and have an understanding of what it means to do it, the production stuff. I'm not great at that. Mm-hmm. I think I was more probably intimidated by all of that. I was like, you mean I'm in control of your music and I'm in control of how we're going to put it together?
I'll make my music sound like lo-fi shit, but I'm not I'm going to ruin yours.
Exactly. I'll crush out bunches of songs on a Tascam 4-track, but I was like, but I'm in the studio with your style. I'm like,
greatest piece of gear ever.
Scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really intimidated me a lot to do that. And then I was just like, I don't know if I'm right. I interned in a studio, really good studio, in New York called Quad Studios.
I bet you had the personality though. I bet they liked you there. I bet you could have.
Yeah, I wasn't.
If you didn't been interested, because I think it is at least half vibes. Yeah. I think you got the vibes covered.
I was more introverted then, but because super intimidated by it all. But I was always just like, I'm chill. I'm not. No big emotions are going to be coming out of me unless we're having a great time, and then I'll share those great emotions. But I could just go with the flow. Like I was
you didn't throw a lot of chairs or anything.
No, well, I'm an intern. They're like, "Go get me my Ricolas." Okay. I did that for Mark Cohen, but I also learned how to mic place on a piano for Walking in Memphis. Like I had no idea that song was going to be that song.
Oh, you were there for that?
I was there for that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Hornsby?
I was a kid. Mark Cohen. Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking of that.
You would, Hornsby's
close.
They're close.
Okay.
I think Hornsby was.
I wish I hadn't
a
said
bigger
the name
artist.
and I just been like, because then I'll cut that out.
You know the song though. You know the song. I bet there's a lot of people like who know that song but don't know the artist. I just happened to be in the studio. This was a weird one. I was in New York. I was going to SC, but I was interning in New York. Worked on that record. Learned how to do mic placement on pianos and all that stuff. Really cool. I was there when all the backing singers came in, so I was part of those sessions.
Yeah,
they were awesome. They were so vibrant and so just amazing. They brought this beautiful energy. They brought it out of me, so I was like, we're vibing. vibing in here. Because Mark was really serious. Mark was not, we would prep the studio.
He was like, easy. You guys are having too much fun on my song.
I'm very serious. So he just, his brow always kind of down. He was totally fine, but anyway, I left. I went back to school in Los Angeles, and I'm driving around, and I had the radio on, and all of a sudden I hear the song come on air, and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, okay. And I'm just driving. I'm focused on driving, and then the songs are like, and I'm like, walking in. I'm like, whoa, I know all the words. What is this? I had no idea.
It's out of context.
Yeah, it was totally out of context. I was like, I know this song. How the hell do I know this song? Completely wasn't even thinking about New York. And then DJ was like, that was a new song by Mark Cohen, Walking in Math. I was like, I'm in there. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've heard people say that if you hear your song in an airport or something, the first time it takes a while. You go, why do I know this from?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to have that moment.
It'd be nice to have that for my own.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, is this mine?
But yeah, like it kind of breaks your brain for a second. You're like,
yeah,
I was there for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's like, that era is kind of maybe like, the idea of hit songs that we all know the same stuff. It's kind of, that's the one thing that kind of makes me a little sad. Like my algorithm's very 90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I'm like very much like processing a lot of that. And I think the shared experiences of things like that's one thing that's just not as much now. Like the internet's cool because you can find your niche group. Like whoever you want to be. Like there's somebody else out there that will validate that. Like that might help.
Sure.
That's good.
Sure.
But then it's also like we don't have these big collective like what happened on Seinfeld last night or that hit song.
Yeah.
Everyone hears it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I don't know if there's maybe Taylor Swift. Maybe there's a few people that can still do a song that everyone will hear.
I think so.
Somehow
there's a few out there. I think like through my daughter I'm learning that.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, I actually have heard this song, and I'm like, how do you know this song? And I don't know how she knows it, but she knows it, and so I think that's interesting. I think they're out there. I think as we get older, it's not happening in the same way. So maybe we're just not around it enough, or seeing it enough, or experiencing it enough.
Yeah, and I think there is that part of my brain that goes, well, I'm just like aging out of the culture, so I'm just going like, what? It's when I understood what it was, it was good, and now that I don't, it's bad. Like,
not good.
Yeah, like
I'm old. Blah.
Yeah, it's certainly some of that. Oh,
well, yeah,
and I mean that's fine too. I mean, I kind of liked those old, as long as they're not too grouchy,
Right.
Like, I don't know, owning being old is part of it too. I mean, staying in the arts and stuff too. It's kind of like youthful by default, because when you get to our age and the world will crush. So if you're still left, I think you got to just own being old at some point.
Sure.
Like it's like I'm not trying to pass for young.
No, we can't do it.
COVID was the end of that.
I went gray in this town.
Yeah, I emerged from COVID like 20 years old. Yeah. I went into COVID still like looking 28.
Right.
And then I came out the other side.
Oh, totally.
Like, I'm going to do old shit from here on out.
Yeah, that's it. The world's terrible. We're done. Oh, man. Yeah, that was rough. That was a big mindfuck coming out of that and going, well, what the hell do I do now anyway? I mean, do I get to do what I used to do? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Does it even mean anything? I have no idea.
Yeah, I still wonder that.
Yeah.
But, if you're having fun while you're doing it, that's there's a few things that I can hold on to.
Yeah. Well, you got to enjoy your life, right? I mean, as best you can, given whatever circumstances you can. And I don't know. We're all in a position where we have the opportunity to enjoy life. Even
we really do.
There's a lot of stuff coming at us, but we're still in a position to have the opportunity to enjoy life, and we should.
Yeah,
as best we can.
Love that.
That's the point.
Why is it so hard?
I don't know. Because people keep coming at us. I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot about that stuff actually, and I spend a lot of time going, "What's my purpose?" I actually had a lot of loss coming out of COVID as well. Like maybe we were out in the world for a year, and then my mom passed. 6 months later, my brother passed.
Oh, damn.
Bandmates' moms passed that same year.
Yeah.
So 3 of us lost our moms within a few months, and and then my father-in-law passed away another 6 months after my brother. So it was just like, So I was like, okay, pandemic, death, people you really care about. It's like, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's going to get harder. Sometimes it'll get better. But in between, we got to do whatever we can to make sure we're living the life we want to live, make sure we're going where we want to go. I don't want to just exist. I don't want to teach my kid that either.
Yeah.
So I felt like I really and it's reflected in some of the songwriting we did on that record. It really, a song about my mom called Aura, a song about my brother called Brother, and it was like, I'm writing about my truths now, and I'm going to share that, and hopefully, I think that the songwriting took a step up from what it was prior through all of that.
Yeah,
and then the need to go. I feel I still have something to offer to go out there and share this with people, and I'm going to, and I feel like I am no less deserving than anybody else who's getting to do that.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, do you have do you have a practice? Do you do meditate, or are you religious?
I do some
something that you to keep those mantras going, or
meditation. Just even
'cause you do project a lot of light and easygoing vibes. I know that inside we're all very complicated.
Sure,
but I was wondering if you have a practice, or did you grow up with that? In your
I think
your
I
parents
grew up with
instill that into you?
I think from where we grew up, it was rough.
Yeah, I thought everybody was mean in New York.
Yeah, yeah.
How'd you come out all chill?
My parents were really good people, and my dad even though he had to fight through things in his life, he was a passive person, and even when there's cap guns and there's kids and stuff, he's like, I don't dig the guns. I don't dig you.
Yeah.
Where we live, that doesn't look good on us.
Right.
So, which is a whole separate thing from I'm gonna go hunting or whatever. But the point is, he's not good. This is representing of our culture, a bad part of where we grew up and lived and places like that. So, and I saw that up through in my life as well. In '92, and I was in LA for the riots.
Oh shit!
For my graduation. And then my parents were coming out for graduation. I'm like, don't even come out here. And they're like, what are you talking about? You went to SC? This is crazy. Nobody in our family. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And they came out, and my mom just immediately saw the aftermath of all of that and was just weeping.
Damn.
She's like, you were here in all of this?
92.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
You've aged well. Doing the math in my head.
I gave away my age. Oh, no.
Yeah. It's easy for me because I'm a '90s person too. So
yeah, that was my life, man. But all these things, I was just like, well, I could either, that thing fucked me up for a little while too, coming out of that. And then when I went back to New York, I was like, that was a lot to swallow, and the things I saw and experienced, and I was like, not good. And I'm like, well, I have choices to make. I can either, go into the darkness, if you will, or find the light part of it all. Yeah. So I just try to think about how expansive our universe is, and just how some of our problems, I'm like, why am I getting worked up about that?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's objectively on paper, what we have, it's 0.001% of all humans that have ever lived.
Right.
But then it's still there's just so many things that I find it hard not to get irritated by things. And I'm just and I'm start getting irritated with myself. I'm like, why am I?
Right.
I'm living the most blissful dream anyone could hope for.
Right.
And I'm just so often irritated about some little bullshit that doesn't matter. I think that's kind of art and conversation and comedy and music. That's one way I've found to kind of if you're feeling that way, make a thing. And then you feel better, and it's not even that and maybe the world it'll blow up out there, and it's no, just make a thing.
Just make a thing.
And then you'll feel better. And even with my kid, it's let's draw a picture, and maybe you won't feel so mad about the kid at school when it works. So it's all right, I've learned a few things.
Yeah. Yeah.
A few tools.
Yeah.
We
were with our kid growing up, we were trying to in terms of how do you figure out how to regulate emotions. So we were always paint. Let's paint your emotions. Let's paint that out. And as we say those things, we're well, we need to do that too, and we need to, whatever our painted out is, do that. And I think also reflected on this album are a couple social issues that are really hard for me right now, and hard for me a few years back that I wrote about that are on this record. And I was like, well, the best thing I can do about that is do that, make a thing. So I agree with you whole 100%.
Yeah, I think I've read you've written about probably some of that stuff in posts and stuff over the years, and some of the stories, which is I remember that too, reading that and being you were able to write about it in a really poignant, you're a good writer, you're able to write it in a way that it doesn't sound like you're just going so much of people are just the anger and the
Yeah.
finger pointing, and,
Yeah.
which is like you're justified to do, but it
Sure.
really just creates more.
Right.
People just dig their heels in more when you're that way, and it's divisiveness. It's
Right.
just such a mess right now. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're able to kind of talk about those things in a way that's like more holistic and
Sure. I'm just more like, hear me out. Just hear me out on
Yeah.
this. This is my personal experience.
yeah.
And as a result of this personal experience, this is why I feel how I feel about, whoever's running our world and all that stuff. And, it's reflected. I start with my own experience. So I'm a little tired of people like, hey, you over there across the country, you should be doing this. I was like, have you ever even been here?
Yeah.
Or do
Yeah.
you even know what's happening here? Or people commenting on FEMA, even here in Western North Carolina, and whether they did or didn't, or,
Yeah.
or the government's doing or not doing, and you have these like, you don't know.
Yeah, people like
You don't know. You're not here.
People far away are like,
Yeah.
I heard about how you guys got screwed over. It's like
Yeah.
that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah.
Ask me. I'm here.
Yeah,
You're just watching your version of the news that's
it's
getting
wild.
You. Yeah.
It's really wild. So I feel like for my own decision making, I have to base it on my experience, and if I can share that with other people that I know, I'm like, hey, this is my experience, and if you don't see where I'm coming from through that experience, we're kind of missing something here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can't be wrong just describing your feelings and your experience. I think that's a great way to do it. Like even whether it's comedy or music, or I like it when you're hinting at a bigger thing, but you're really just saying this is my story, which is always going to be valid.
Right.
Instead of just being like, listen up, idiots, this side's wrong, this side.
Right.
I just see so much of that. It's like, it's hard to say it right. And I remember one post that you wrote and just how many people were just like hopping in and being like, we love you. You're part of this community. So I hope you feel that you're.
Oh, I do.
You're out there, and everyone's just like.
I do.
Everyone loves you.
Yeah. If I didn't, I think I would have been out of here a while ago.
Yeah. Because a lot of artists and people I know I love and are not. They're complicated people who you don't know which side you're going to get that day, and that's okay too. I mean, but
well, I have those feelings.
Yeah.
I just try not to let them take over, and I try not to let them actually talk out loud for me.
Yeah.
I think in song I get away with being a little more, I have some lines in the music where, but overall I think for it to make a point or for that message to get through, it still needs to be a something where I'm not telling everybody what they need to do, but more like, hey, this is what's really happening from what I see.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just the whole idea where it's a message they can hear and take in that will reach through somehow, and hopefully bring some understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had something I was going to add on, but you landed it so well, it's gone now. What was I going to say?
That's okay. That's all right.
There's always at least one or two moments like this on here too. I try to embrace. It's like you threw out some lick that I wanted to like play back, but it's like it'll come back if it's meant to.
Oh sure, and it is, and it will. I've gone through that. And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't write it down or I didn't record it. And I'm idiot. It's gone forever. Then I'm like, well, that's not in there. Then all of a sudden you're like mowing the lawn. I'm like, what? There it is.
Yeah.
Run inside and record it.
Exactly. Do you have like a system for like as far as writing songs? I mean, do you kind of have a bunch of voice memos that you capture that are like 8 seconds long that you
so
stitch
many
together?
voice memos,
little scraps of paper.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll hear, one line and then I hear a melody that's different that needs to go over that, and then I'm like, okay. So then I'll go back on there and I'm like, okay, repeat the original line. I'm just voicing this, and then I'm like, now sing them this way I can piece it together in my mind.
You'll know what you mean later.
Yeah, I'll know what I mean.
You've been doing
later.
this for a minute.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild when I hear that, and then have different ideas in between those. I'm like, okay, put that aside. I need to focus on this right now and get through. So yeah, you use voice memos all the time. Sometimes I'm sitting with a guitar. Sometimes it's just lyrics, and I'm just speaking them into sometimes a melody, and I'll just speak and sing it. It's just all the things.
It's such a magical, like the muse of that. I mean, because music is my thing. I've been doing the longest, so I consider myself like a musician before any other like comedy or anything like that. And just you're talking about how you can get away. That was the thing I was trying to think of, is how you can get away with saying certain things in a song that you might, like when you're standing there doing. I love that comedy is you can just address a heckler. It's like, this is my head saying English at you.
Right.
But with songs, it's like, a lot of my favorite songs, I don't even know the words, or I knew wrong versions, or it's like you can be playing a character in a song that's not you, like so, and it doesn't have to be funny. So there's this whole like the whole like Jungian unconscious, like I feel like songwriting is just more like vibes and more mystery, and like I'm sure you've written songs where you're like just. Or this has happened to me where I'm just making the sounds that sound good. I don't even know if these are words, and then they become words. Yep. Words emerge, and then a year later, it's like that was exactly how I felt, exactly about like a relationship was about to end, or something. And at the time, it really was just coming through me as like woo woo as that sounds. Like it's absolutely a real thing.
Because it's the feeling.
And there's just like there's no real scientific way to explain that, but if you keep the muse open, if you keep running inside when you're mowing the lawn to get it down, I think it's more likely it'll keep giving you ideas. And you're tapping into some like dimension or spirit or place that's like a god, whatever you want to call it, that kind of can help you navigate things. Which people are like, why would you? The lawn needs to be mowed. People, why would you run in and pick up your silly guitar? It's like, this is more serious than the yard. Like this is a real thing that I don't want to lose.
I have to do this. Yeah, and I have to not lose this. And this is part of who I am in my process and my emotions. And like you were saying, I was just like, I got these emotions, whatever they are. And I'm like, that's the line. I don't know what the words are, but I'm just like blobbing through my emotions. Yeah. But you feel your emotions even in that memo recording. You're like, okay, I obviously have these emotions. I know what they're about. I don't know what the word, how to say it yet, but I do that all the time.
Yeah, and with music, it's like you don't like with a joke. It's kind of like, well, I do have to figure out how to say it. I guess there's rhythm and there's dynamics. Yeah. But with music, it's like the words can be like Dylan, where the words are out front, or it can be like. Like I've been really into Krungbin a lot. I'm never sure if I'm saying the name correctly. I'm trying.
I think that's pretty close.
I think it's as close as I've gotten. But it's like they treat lyrics in a really interesting way, where they're singing, but it doesn't seem to be out front.
No,
it's kind of just like it can be la la la's, or it can be a chorus or a hook, but it's like it's just kind of the same out frontness as the guitar or the bass.
Right, it's within the music.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's just really interesting. I feel like usually it was either instrumental music or it's like there's a person out front, an ego out front that's like, this is my hero's journey, and the music's back there. And I really I like that.
Yeah. I like all of it.
Yeah, it's great.
I like that some people do it that way and some people do it the other way. And whatever I need at the moment, I'm gonna go to one of them. Yeah, however I need it.
I think at this point, I'm just realizing as I get older that there's so many things that I was like, I really thought that these are the types of music I like when I'm younger, and as I get older, it's like it's all amazing. And I'm very slowly broadening my taste to be like, oh, you can use singing and have it not even be lead singing. Like I would have not even been open to that at all in my 20s.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's wild. Yeah.
And even this, like what we're doing here in a song, I'm like, I don't think it's that different. Like if you came over and we recorded 90 minutes of jamming and then you came over and recorded 90 minutes of talking. I've done that with some people, and it's like it's kind of this, we're using different tools. Yeah. But we're kind of getting at the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Well, that's what I love when people are multifaceted and have different channels of their artistic expression. Like yourself, you're a musician, but you're a comedian and a podcast host. and I think doing so makes you more well-rounded and helps you in each one of those categories.
Totally. It's like you being on the other side of the stage, and seeing how a band comes in and treats the staff.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Do you find that like most people who are like successful, I don't even like saying that, but whatever, they're playing their Spiel. So whatever metric that means, like, do you find that most of them are pretty kind and
for the most part?
Because I've found that like when I get to open for somebody that's a real big deal, that like there's a lot of stories about how people are assholes, but most times people actually that have made it are actually pretty nice. Yeah. And not, you know what I mean? Like, and then like sometimes I'll do shows of people that are like assholes, and I'm like, I think you're not doing yourself a favor.
Right, you're not.
Favor. It's not only that you're doing somebody else a favor by being courteous, but like people notice, like the staff notices.
Oh yeah.
And they talk to people.
Oh, yes.
And I think back on some of the shows I did in my 20s, and I'm like, I hope nobody remembers, before I learned a bunch of wisdom.
Oh, my gosh. I think for my 20s, it was not about maybe me being a jerk, but just being like, just this energy ball of just like, that dude needs to calm the hell down,
Really?
I was just excited, I was just so excited to do the stuff,
Yeah. Oh, well, like enthusiasm.
Over the top enthusiasm sometimes, but yeah, I mean,
you might have annoyed people with your happiness, is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good way to do it.
Totally.
If you have to annoy people.
Yeah, that's true.
With your joy.
I was like, I'm stoked. What about you, you miserable bastard?
Hornsby's piano. Do you guys know what's going on? Like, yeah, we know. Just get the mics on there.
Cohen's piano.
Yeah, I screwed that up again. Have to do a lot of editing.
No,
Cohen's piano.
Leave it
Just
in.
drop it in.
Leave it in.
Yeah, I never edit it. So but saying that I know I should is the same.
Right. Sure. That counts as an edit.
Yeah.
Without having to actually edit.
I know I was wrong. Edit.
Smart. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Most people are kind, and we played with some big artists ourselves. We were direct support for like Franz Ferdinand, and because of one, knowing, hey, we're your support band, so we're no assumptions that we're anything, right? And also having worked on the venue side, I'm like, also we respect people's space. You don't know until until they're like, hey, next thing you know, they're all hanging out in our green room, because they were so cool.
Yeah.
And they're all coming and say, hey, we really enjoyed the set and blah blah blah. And the next thing you know, we're like just really getting to know each other, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
They were interested in doing that.
Yeah.
They're like, it's for them. It's like, we're all in this, So I think that's the majority of people. I mean, we've also played with some artists that were like, it's cool, but we kind of want our space. I'm like, heard, all good.
Yeah, and they're traveling that day and stuff too. So it's like,
I get it.
Yeah, it's always like.
They're on a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to try to get people, like when I first started doing this, I was like, if somebody's coming to town, I'll try to get them to do the podcast. And I'll do like local and I'll do like touring.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized like a lot of times when people traveled that day, like when 2 months ahead, they'll be like, I'd love to. And then that day you can kind of tell they're just like,
damn.
Yeah. And I'm like, you don't gotta, we'll just focus on like local, or like I won't even like, I'll never like ask for a picture with somebody or anything because I'm always I probably err too much on like I'm afraid I'm gonna annoy them. You know?
I do that too. But every once in a while I'm like I got to.
Sometimes you got to. Sometimes you got to.
Yeah. Particularly for like playing with them, I'm like, come on, we gotta do it.
We share the stage.
Yeah.
That should get a photo.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Make it like we're besties. It's wild. It's wild. A lot of personalities. But I feel like even with tour managers and tours in general and the crews that are coming through, I feel like it's gotten kinder over the years.
Yeah.
I just felt like there was just, especially when I first got out here, just dealing with settlements on shows and stuff, it just seemed like there was always pushback about something. And it got to a point where like, why are we doing this? And sometimes I started learning, we're like, hey, we each have an agent. Why don't we let the agent deal with that tomorrow? Where you and I have been here all day and we're tired, and it's it's 1:30 in the morning and we're kind of like stuck on something here. Let's just have them figure it out. It's their job. Yeah. So we all started learning that, both tour managers and us. I was like, yeah, let them work it out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm getting out of here. Why do I don't want to be mad at you. We had a great day otherwise. So
we're tired. Why are we focusing on this? Yeah.
So little by little, it just seemed to get better and better. And as long as people have their ducks in a row in their contracts, and it's like, this is what we all agreed on. This is not time to renegotiate something. It's like, there is a contract. Why are we renegotiating? So that happens. And to your question earlier too, I've learned so much on that. So when I go as an artist, I'm like, I'm easy, man, and I'm thorough. I want to be thorough about going into the gig and knowing everything and communicating about everything. And then
such a masterclass too, just seeing like however many times, hundreds of times, the way people gracefully or ungracefully handle the inevitable, unexpected hiccups.
Yeah.
You just get to observe that and learn. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying about like, you don't have to, if you want to be a lead singer, be in a band where you're not the lead singer too.
Yeah.
Because you can actually learn more when it's not you're not the one in it. Like
totally.
I learned that like last year. I'm like, like if I had known that shit, that would have been
only if.
and then like people are like, well, we all told you that. I'm like, I wasn't ready to listen to anybody yet. Like you kind of got to do it yourself,
Yeah. Oh, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Falling on my face every time.
Like when you eventually learn the things that everyone's been telling you your whole life, but you just had to learn them for yourself. All that cliche shit's like true. Okay,
it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Like
it really is.
My dad's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Sure enough, it was not a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. If you'd kept the cap gun, you might be dead now.
I might be. Exactly right. Cap guns, no.
I like the cap gun. I feel like that's that could be like a cool metaphor, or like a song title or something. Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going through your record. I was listening to, oh my gosh, Island Diplomacy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, your titles are amazing. So.
Oh, thanks. That's a good one. Yeah, we used that one for the album title, so I think we knew. Yeah, that was crazy. It's crazy how long ago that is. I have a hard time. I haven't really ever listened back to those. I think I got divorced right before that band. And
gotcha.
So to me, it's like, I was angry. Like I don't drink anymore. Mm-hmm. I do occasionally have gotten back into yelling a little more when I'm playing the drums. It does feel good to yell.
Well, that's all right.
But it's also kind of like when you're 26 and you're yelling, and when you're like a 45-year-old dad and you're yelling. It's like I feel like I don't know. I guess like Frank Black's still up there yelling.
Oh, he's yelling,
and it's like
all day long.
Yeah, but he sort of invented.
He's making a killing at yelling.
Yeah. So I'm like, he's doing it. But yeah, it's I don't know. Do you listen back to stuff? I tend to always be like, do it, obsess over it, and then move on, and don't. Maybe I don't go back like I should.
I don't unless I feel like either all right, we have these shows coming up, and I want to either. I want to play something different, even though we have. A song list that we can play different shows completely.
It's gotten stale. You want to...
But I still feel like I want to do something different. So either we got to come up with a new song in a short amount of time. Is that going to be show ready? Or, God, I haven't really played this one song I haven't even listened to it. I haven't thought about it. Does that still represent me? Does that still hold up?
Yeah.
So I will go back sometimes and do I remember how to play it? And then I'll explore it, and I'm like, oh God, no, I can't play that song. and that's usually the case. But every once in a while, I'm like, wow, this would actually be really cool to revisit with a whole different mindset.
Yeah, you end up like rearranging it a little, maybe
a little bit of rearrangement,
different feel, different tempo,
and having different people to play it with. It'd be like, like what do you hear when you hear this? So, we've been working with a new drummer, and he kind of went back down the catalog, and he's like, hey, this is a pretty cool song, and I'm like. Huh. Okay, so it was somebody else who actually pulled out a song. I was like, "What about this?"
That's my favorite.
We could do that.
Even in my mind, when I'm like, I'm gonna play it just because somebody else will. Like, let's follow somebody else's.
Right. It's their suggestion, not mine. Yeah. But I'd have to be comfortable to do it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out that way sometimes too. I don't know. I like to hear. I like, in terms of the band, I want to hear what everybody's feeling and thinking. Like. I want everybody to be just like getting off on a show.
Yeah, is that a tricky thing? Like one of the things I like about stand up and about like I guess I don't have a co-host. I can just do the podcast like when I want with the guests I want.
Sure.
Group projects.
Yeah.
Were always hard for me in school.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Like how do I get along with everybody?
Yeah, and keep getting along and keep having it feel like it's like. Got any pro tips for the long game of the successful group project?
We've talked about it on a couple levels here already today. It's just that ego. You gotta keep it in check, and then ask yourself, what am I enjoying that? That camaraderie or that collaboration, or am I not? And do I feel like I need to have control of the whole thing, and this is what we're gonna do? But then you need to communicate that to the people you're with. Be like. I need to have control.
Do you get controlling, or are you pretty easygoing?
I'm pretty easygoing.
Like you're playing the song, somebody starts over playing a little. I'm sure that's never happened in any of your bands, but I'm sure you never had a
what? No, that's never happened.
Extraneous licks or fills or anything like that. But
never happened.
But if it were to happen, you'd be like, hey, can we have a combo? Or do you go? It'll just be weird. I'll just
I had to learn how to do that. Not comfortable with that in the beginning for sure. Because I'm like, who am I? And to me, I'm like, you're so much better.
They can play better than you, and they're overplaying.
Yeah,
so you're like,
you're overplaying,
yeah.
and then like, hey, let's serve the song. I go back.
If I could overplay, I wouldn't be. I just want you to know.
Yeah.
I don't have that technique, but if I did,
I have so many ideas of what I wish I could play that I can't, and I still wouldn't play that over this part. This is a quiet part. No, I think we all. I think it's about building the, building the ethos. Like, hey, let's serve the song. We all.
Yeah.
And then let's put a set together that can kind of serve everybody in that. Where like, oh, this is a drum heavy song, or this is like guitar licks crazy, and you got space, and I'm like, you got 16, go nuts. Yeah. That kind of thing, and so. Which I think makes a more dynamic set too to begin with. So if people are given to take it in that way, so I'm not that controlling. No.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think ultimately it's like for the long game, it probably serves you better not to be to err on just allowing and not trying to be like I don't know.
I think where I need to do it in terms of it's more like, hey, let's make sure we're working regularly, we're communicating, make sure we're putting in the time. Let's make sure we're prepared for a rehearsal. Let's make sure we're focused on a rehearsal. So it's not like, hey, we're going to down two.
Prepared for rehearsal? Are you playing with pros or something? It's like first you have to drive them over to the rehearsal, throw some cold water on their face, and then be like, all right, I'm going to try to get you prepared.
Yeah. No, we just, I'm just like, here's what we're playing, or here's that new song that we decided, like let's not learn it there. Like, just try to run through it before you get to rehearsal. Yeah. So we're not starting from 0. We're starting from somewhere. 1. 1 maybe. Sometimes 1. Sometimes 5. So I'm like, wow, you guys really did learn the song.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, when people have like done their homework and you're trying not to act so surprised. That, they're like, oh.
Again, I'm so lucky. I play with amazing people. Yeah. They're passionate. They're really good at it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like exaggerating the pain in the ass of Rage because it's funny. Like it wasn't like it was always like that.
I can't make fun of my bandmates. Like maybe some old ones. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. But same time, I did. I wound up doing this like singer-songwriter showcase show at Guitar Bar. This is just before, obviously, the storm, and there was a freedom that I got from that. Because I was like, well, obviously, I'm just really thinking about what I want to play.
Yeah, you can
pivot.
And
I can change how I play them,
Yeah, you can learn a cover that day or something when it's just you.
Absolutely. Or I can just change the tempo of the song overall and not think about it on the fly. I'm like, I know how I want to play this, and I don't need to, like, massage it through anybody else, So, and there's a tremendous amount of freedom in that. Really taking my time. And like, even if I wanted to, like, hang on a note that normally would go right into the chorus or something, I'm like, no, I'm gonna hang on that for 4 more and just really enjoy that tension and then go.
Yeah, it is more like stand up doing a solo gig where it's like you don't have your friends if it's going bad and that gets lonely, but you can pivot. You can be like, on the way to the gig, you can be like, I'm gonna do something totally different.
Totally
you don't have to
different.
run it by people. So it's I like that. I like what you said about serving the song. That's I've been going back through a lot of my favorite albums and playing on drums, the ones that I played on other instruments, and like the beat, like Ringo is just, I mean, just the way the parts are just like so, like he'll like not hit a crash at the end of a fill, or he'll not even like do the high. He's so minimal. Right. And did you watch Get Back? The you don't need to watch the 10 hours of them. Like it's like.
Is this when they were like rehearsing? Yeah, Yoko's there too.
Yeah, it's like the 10 hour
before the performance up on the roof. I watched some of that.
It's so long and crazy and like, but I get into like the long meta, like sloppy stuff, and he's just it's just these giant egos and brilliant personalities. Yeah, totally. But Ringo's just sitting there in the room, so chill, and trying to negotiate. Like, I'm like now he's like the biggest. I was like, is it John or is it Paul? And now I'm like, he's my favorite because he's like able to remove. He's doing the thing that I'm still trying to figure out how to do, where it's like he's serving the song, but his ego is really out of the way. Right. But then when it's time to do something amazing, there's amazing drum parts, but it's like only when it's like the Dave Grohl on the Nirvana. You sing the drum licks when you sing along. It's just like the perfect. Right. and then I'll really have that in mind, and I'll play with Emily, and then I'll listen back, and I'll be like, I played a few too many fills. Like when I'm behind the kit, there's just I become that guy.
You want to hit the things.
Yeah, I want to do just one more. Cram one more fancy lick in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it didn't serve the song.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
That was my ego, not the song.
Yeah. That happens sometimes. I've even done that too, where I had one song where I had this little thing that happened towards the end of the phrase, and I'm in the studio. I'm working with my friend David Elliott Johnson, who's our producer as well, and he's like, "Don't do that part." It's like, just straight up, you don't just give it space.
Yeah. That's what I heard. Rick Rubin will say that to the drummer. He'll be like, "You do that at the live show.
Yeah,
everybody's there.
Yeah,
do the monster fill.
Yeah,
people don't want to hear that at home 100 times.
No, they don't.
They
really
hear
don't.
The song.
They want to hear the song. That's exactly right.
And he can do it in a way where people are like, they can hear it. So that's part of it too, is having the
somebody who can tell you. It's like, don't play that thing. I'm like, okay.
What you just did, that's bad.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah,
that idea is not. So.
Yeah. I mean, it technically works, but it's in the way.
And like Ringo would, they'd play. The Beatles had a rule where they'd play the song for each other first. Like you had to get. I think you had to get a thumbs up from all the other three. So to even do the song, so like Ringo would sit there and hear the whole song before he played, and I was like, I don't think I've ever. The drummer's gonna start doing something,
right?
Like I was like, I don't think I've ever played with any, including myself. Like this is about me too. That just like he literally just heard the whole thing
in his head,
and then starts trying to do stuff like something a little like that. Because I mean, even when if you were playing a song, I'd probably start doing something,
right?
But just to really listen first,
sure,
and not do anything. I don't know. There's just, as I get older, there's like
a patience in that.
Yeah. And that's the true, it's almost like the true superpower. Like you need, maybe in a band you want like a big ego and you want the guy like that. There's some kind of like balance that happens.
Maybe that's what makes the best bands, right? They have one of each of those guys and somebody else and the guys in between and all that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And then they can kind of shift around. Like I think like after John said the "We're bigger than Jesus" thing, he had like Paul like came out and did Sgt. Pepper's. It's like, I'm gonna be the kind of the big ego for a while.
Yeah.
Everyone's mad, real mad.
Yeah, totally. They don't want to hear that. I'm stepping up front for a second. Yeah. That's so wild. I can't even imagine getting no point in saying that.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
That, being that,
yeah. And at that time too, when it was like now everybody's just like pop stars are just saying horrible shit every 8. Yeah, everyone's saying horrible things. No job is safe.
All over the place. It is just insane. It's pretty wild. But talking about that, like takes us back to if I'm gonna say something, I want to say it somewhere that makes sense, in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easy. There's so many times I have stopped myself from just getting on there and just tapping away on those keys. And
I think we'd all like to see it maybe one time.
Do I get a pass?
Have Jeff lose his shit. Like I was talking about that with Cactus on here.
Cactus,
and he's saying like he's known as being skidoo in the world. So when he's like at the post office and something annoying is happening, he's aware that like somebody's like knows who you are. So if you like freak out,
totally,
it's gonna get back to you. But then I was like, but I think you get one like people, you could almost freak out once,
right?
Make everybody feel really unsafe and then apologize. Like that might be kind of a cool redemption.
Right.
Like you're allowed to have one.
Right.
You've been so nice for so long. Like it'd be like, Jeff Santiago freaked out and told us to all go fuck ourselves. Like it must be our fault. Like I think we need to take a good look in the mirror.
Oh, this is really good ammo. Thank you.
You saved it up, You saved it up.
So I get one. All right. I mean, my professional world's been a little wild lately, so I'm just like, I'd like to say some things, but I'm not going to say some things. But man, yeah, I think there's something deep inside, especially some of the things I've seen in my life. I'm like, I don't want to go there. We're having a big problem if I'm going there.
Yeah.
So I do want to just scream at people too, but I mean, I got to a point, and this is part of why we moved from LA. I mean, road rage was just insane, and people were insane, and I started yelling back at people, and I'm absorbing it, and now I'm becoming that, and I'm like, oh, this is not me. What is happening? I'm throwing water bottles in cars. I'm like, yeah.
It's that really nice guy from the band. We got a video of him.
yeah, totally. Luckily, we didn't have
there was so much less
video cameras on our phones back then, but it was a real, it was really eye-opening, and
you do sort of absorb, right? I mean, if you're going to live in a place full of like a mentality, I mean, even if you stay in your house, I think you're going to
there's energy.
More like that.
There's energy,
right?
It's just like in New York. There's just an energy. So even if you're like, I'm going to go home and chill tonight at the apartment, still coming up from underneath you is just like millions of people's energy.
City never sleeps.
It just comes through. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and you can harness that if you're like, you want to hit life hard, you want to like be around the fastest and the best. But to me, it's almost like
it's a great city for your 20s.
Yeah, right. Like I think like slow and humble, and there's this whole other. I'm moving to this whole other set of like virtues that I always heard were the real ones, but now I'm like, I've lived enough to know that I want to get as much of that as I can.
Yeah,
before I'm done here.
It makes sense. Yeah, and then just finding some sort of peace within yourself and who you are and who your family is, and that's the most important thing. My wife gave me a great book at Christmas, and I started it on January 1, and it was The Daily Dad, and a fantastic daily reminder, and I pick it up every morning. First thing I do, grab my water, my book, and just they're excerpts, one page pretty much.
Perfect.
So it's perfect, but it keeps you in, and each month has a sort of a theme to it, and it did two things. It goes, wow, it reminded me of things I need to get better at. I'm like, this is a great reminder. This is a great reminder, and I've been actively using that when I'm with my kid, and going, this is one of those moments where like it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. She's a kid. It's okay for her not get it, or it's okay for her to make a mess. She's a kid, whatever it is. So I'm learning these things. And on the flip of that, there's a few like chapters I've been through already that I'm just like, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay as a dad. I'm doing okay. These are great reminders, but in this department, I'm not worried about it. So, things like that to kind of help ground and remind myself what's the most important thing, and then I can help figure that out. Now, in terms of we're talking about me losing it or something like that. Now, if it were about my family, then that's a whole nother story.
Right, yeah.
I think that's a place I would lose it. And
sometimes
and feel quite comfortable losing it and not caring what anyone thought or saw, because I do try to live my life day to day without doing that. But just really prioritizing, and then prioritizing life and goals and meaning, and also being okay with just not doing anything in a moment. That's a hard one to learn.
I'm working on that one.
Yeah,
I've been doing like a morning meditation for like 10 minutes and a little, and then because it's like as soon as I start doing stuff, I'm an insanely productive person, which is another thing that's like growing up. It's like society's like good.
Yeah,
be a good capitalist, make stuff, and
you
get really good at that. But then you get older and you're like, okay, I need to like unlearn some of this.
Exactly right.
To, like sit there and not just start doing a productive thing.
Right.
It's incredibly hard for me.
Yeah.
Not to be like my self-worth is how many tasks I got done today.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I still do that too, because I am involved in things that need to have things done around them. So I'm like, I have my lists, and I'm like, have I gotten those? I'm like, whoa, like, how about setting intention in a day before? Sometimes I wouldn't even look at my calendar. I just start going. And I'm like, you didn't even look at your calendar, dude. Like, what you're supposed to be doing today. You just start going, And I'm like, you have no intent.
And if you go try to do the intent after you started going, it's not the same as if you, first thing. Like you said, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
The book, because you got a clean slate for the day then, and then I just start routing messages around the internet at some point.
Yeah, totally, because that's going to happen, right? And that's part of our lives. But I'm like, well, let me take a moment to go, am I being a good dad? Let me start my day there. What kind of a dad am I? And then go from there. And
my kids will both me and Emily, it's like we'll hear the same. My bullshit is like the same stuff being reflected back at me, like very specific ways that they're. Being like not their best is like the same words even that I'm like, shit.
That's one of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's where a lot of it comes from. Is your kids really
they're sponges.
Reflect? It's
they're
like,
looking.
Wow,
They're looking to
they
us
learned that
for
bad habit from me. They learned that bad habit from me.
But you got to remember they learned the good ones too.
Yeah.
So this way you cut yourself a break.
Yeah.
Because if you're just beating yourself down, then that's not going to help your kids either, right?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Then you're like, okay, hold on, let me just focus on what I think I need to do better in their eyes, So because there are sponges and there are mini us, and they're gonna say the things we say and feel the things we feel, and one thing in the book I'm reading too, it's about detaching that stress of work or whatever it is and go, hey, once that time, family time or kid time, it's that time.
Right, yeah.
Like, because if you're still sitting inside, I'm like, hey, kid, yeah, that's great. I'm so fucking pissed about this thing that happened at work. Then that's...
and the teleworking age has made that harder. It's like, I work from home,
sure,
most days of the week, so that's more time with my family. But then, I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I have to really try to, leave it in the room with the computer.
Yeah. Distance yourself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges of modern life is you can get all that information and all that cool connection, but then it's just always all in your pocket all the time. So there's not that compartmentalized. All right, I'm driving home from work. I mean, you can physically go work at a place, so that might help.
Yeah, it does.
But then also you have to add commute times into your busy schedule with the kids, so it's double-edged. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And the phone doesn't stop, so then you're like, I just gotta, I didn't turn mine off completely here. Mm-hmm. It was going ballistic in my pocket. I'm like, I gotta throw that on the floor. The world could be burning, but I'm like, I'm in something. I'm sorry. It's gonna be a minute. Yeah. I'm in the shed, man.
Yeah, we come out, it's just all ashes.
Oh, wow. Oops. Let's write a song about it.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go back into the shed and make some sounds.
Oh, man. Holy cow. That's good stuff, man. Yeah. We've really ventured into some stuff I didn't think we'd talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes all over the place. And we're actually at an hour 20 if you want to. Do you want to wrap it up?
I guess. What else do you want to talk about?
Anything.
Huh. I don't know. Where did you grow up?
Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Okay. Where's that from here?
It's near Knoxville, so it's a couple, 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So I'm from the South, but I've come to realize that Oak Ridge, Tennessee is this very sciencey, kind of liberally So I'm not really that Southern, even though I'm from the South. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For a long time, I was like, well, I'm from Tennessee, but I'm like, okay, now it was not as Southern as probably most places in Tennessee.
Right.
It's a little sciencey, nerdy place, kind of like Asheville is a little oasis.
Sure.
I'll go out and do shows, 10 miles out, and I'll be like, okay, that's a good reminder that this is a very different culture.
Yes.
Which is great.
But can that be Southern too?
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's a good point. I guess it is Southern.
Because I think
of a Southern accent is a thing where people have always been like, well, you don't sound like you're Southern.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't sound as completely New Yorker compared to my friends do, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not have guessed.
Yeah.
But I don't really have an ear for accents.
Uh-huh.
But.
Yeah, but plus I lived in Los Angeles for many years.
Yeah.
And now here many years.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's crazy.
Where have you lived the longest?
Well, New York still, because that's where I grew up. But I lived in Los Angeles for 14. But I'm here 18.
Yeah, so you're about to be mostly
here. Weird. I never would have thought. But that's interesting, But I feel like I was able to get really different flavors of our country, and there's still so many other flavors in our country that I haven't experienced.
You gotta live in the Midwest.
But I like the idea of living in these places, not just visiting. My wife's from Lafayette, Louisiana, so I've gotten to know that culture well, which is obviously South, but very different from, she's Cajun and Cajun French, and they have a real specific culture about it. So, I think it'd be such a good thing for Americans to just live on a completely different part of the country for a little while.
Totally.
Just all of us. Just get a glimpse of what our fellow Americans are doing somewhere else. Yeah. And it's not all about what I think in this one spot that I'm in, So it's about all these different things, and it's a beautiful country,
Yeah.
You know?
And I think most people here I think the majority of people are good people and want the same thing too. I mean, that's a thing that I've been really navigating hardcore these last few years is that I just hang out with super left, super liberal. That's always been my identity. That's why I moved here.
Sure.
And now I'm older and I have kids and I really want them to be part of one team, kind of like it felt after the hurricane, where it's like it doesn't matter who you're voting for, we're going to help each other. So that's like, to me, like just so important. It's like the people reclaim that we all kind of want our families to be safe and we want to have good, there's a few bad people, but most of us aren't. And so I'm trying to live that way and do all the rooms, and it's hard not to be not to scan as like a right-leaning person because I'm not 1,000% being like, yeah, fuck them, our team's right.
Right.
And they're dumb. If they voted that way, they're dumb.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't know if they're dumb. I think it's just a different. I didn't vote, but and then it's almost like sometimes it's almost like I can feel like I'm scanning as like no matter which room. If I go in a room that's like politically on one side, I always feel like they think I'm on the other side. Because,
no matter what.
Because I am trying to, I am trying to really be like, just
trying to navigate.
And trying to be like, in some small way, like bring together. Like no one's dumb, no one's bad. Right. Like, let's just try to work it out.
Yeah.
And that's been very tricky. Just even to try to talk about it. Like I try to talk about it on the podcast. I'm trying to do jokes that are about like the left and the right, where I don't make a stand, but my dream gig would be people on both sides are in the room, and we can all laugh about it, like just how absurd it is on both sides, and how we're pitted against each other, and how it's horrifying, and we just laugh about it, together. That's like we need more of that, and it's hard to even get them there, much less laugh.
The polarizing tools are in everyone's pocket, and it's consistent. And
like the last elections are like down to a percent, like 1%, less than. Like, how is that even possible? It didn't used to be like every election's exactly.
No,
it's like, has somebody worked out how to make that us do that?
I don't know,
AI or something. It almost feels too.
We feel like we're rats that but wound up in two camps.
Yeah, it should at least be like 70-30 for like one election or something.
Right. I agree with you there. It used to be
like Obama like won by a bunch at a time or two, I think. And Bush did too.
Yeah, and so did Bush. So then we got to a point where like, how did we all of a sudden wound up in this thing? And it seems to be the most polarizing.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the most just, draw the line in the sand. I'm not budging. I'm going to double down. I'm going to do some gymnastics to, justify what I think. But also, here's the bottom line. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it on your podcast.
Let's do it. Let's set the record straight.
We are all hypocrites.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of us.
Yeah.
And some of us are a lot worse at it. And, I see people... I feel we fail. There are these moments that I wish people would grab onto more, and it's exposing a truth about, say, a political person or persons, and you have people on opposite aisle doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why please post both of those things.
Yeah.
So-and-so and so-and-so is doing this. We should all be pissed.
Yeah.
Not, look what they're doing. And it's like, but you didn't mention so-and-so, your guy. It's just, that bothers me, because I'm like, it's obvious. We all know the truth.
Yeah.
You know it and I know it. So the lefty only posting about the righty, and then the righty only posting about the lefty. I'm like, you're missing an opportunity here to be like, no. I mean, I just wish the country can get together on term limits, right? Because I think everybody agrees on it. I don't know anybody who's like, doesn't agree on term limits for people in Congress and in the Senate, and here we are. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
And that's just weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really odd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. I mean, when you have kids and stuff too, you have a different way of wanting to be, I'd like for them to grow old,
Yeah.
and have drinking water. And be able to have a nice life. So, I mean, I think that's good.
Not get
good
chased
thing.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's all those things, and I don't know. It's I want to share a message when I can, But also sometimes I am that guy who's just really pissed.
No, I think you're sharing a message.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we end on that note. I don't know.
That works for me. Yeah.
Cool.
We're at 90 minutes.
We just crushed 90 minutes in here?
Isn't that crazy?
Felt good.
That's good. Yeah, I love it when people it didn't feel like it was that long.
Yeah.
That means it worked.
Yeah.
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 All right, Jeff. Well, thank you for coming on. It's great to see you.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, man.
And
my pleasure.
I was stoked when you reached out.
Yeah, thanks for just being here. Anytime I see you anywhere, I'm just like, yeah.
All right on. Let's do that.
And I strive to be. I want to be more that way. So.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My man.